Hello everyone, welcome to another watercolor tutorial. Today's is inspired by a beautiful painting that I saw by Artistic Flair 7. So I am going to try my hardest to replicate this. This is gorgeous. I don't have high hopes, but let's see how good my gradient skills are. So what we want to do is basically leave this part of our painting white, if not, like, it'll be fading into baby blue, blue, and then very dark blue, if not black. But this portion has to stay white. So how are we gonna do this? I guess I will just, so if it's not, oh my gosh, why is this orange? Because I just painted an orange painting, that's why. And there's probably still orange on my brush. I hope that that will not be very visible. I don't remember my brushes doing that before. It's kind of annoying that the color, like, no matter how much I rinse, it just, the color stays in the brush for a period of time. Very annoying. But anyways, I'm taking baby blue, and I find that it's easier to point my brush outwards rather than going like this. Because the gradient, the tip of your brush that holds the pigment the most, I would say, or like where it concentrates when you lift it off, it will stay towards the outside and create a fluid, hopefully a fluid gradient. So basically we are just getting progressively darker as we move out. And then I don't really want it to look so rainbowy. It's kind of looking green too. Oh my gosh. So let's start fading that into a darker blue. And an even darker blue. So you can just progressively add black if you don't have tons of blues to choose from. And then an even darker blue. That's not actually, I don't like that blue at all. It doesn't really match. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to clean this up, because if I ever need nude, it'll be blue and not nude. That's what I don't like about this palette, if I'm going to be completely honest. I love the opacity. The colors are so vibrant and amazing in that regard, but man, the half pans are so close together that you end up mixing a lot of colors inevitably. Okay, so that looks very nice, but this ended up being way bigger than, like, the white space was only supposed to be this small area here. But that's a better problem to have than the opposite. So let's see, I'm gonna just make sure my brush is totally clear of blue here, which it is not. My gosh. But anyways, we'll just do what we can. get the baby blue again and try to go a little more like so. I hope it's kind of self-explanatory what I'm doing. I don't know, that's probably paper towel, or not paper towel, but toilet paper. That's what that is. Because I am too lazy to go get the tools for the job, which is usually paper towel. So I am repeating exactly what I did, but I am just making the colors way closer together. I can't remember, did I add black to the, yeah, I added black to the previous color instead of using that other blue because it looked way nicer. So again, I want the darker colors to be closer up and down than they are, but I don't want to overdo it because it's not the intention either. And I'm kind of tempted to just let this dry and then do another layer instead, but I guess I'm not doing that. Okay. So the transition is showing a little too much for my liking here. I wanted it to be a lot more of a gradient, but that's my own fault. Okay. I think I might just let this dry instead of continuing to harass the paper. And we'll see what it looks like when it's totally dry and then go from there. Okay, so really quickly I changed my mind. I started drying it and then I'm like, oh, I just want to do something before it's totally dry. While it's still wet, I took white watercolor that I've watered down, which may or may not be necessary. And yeah, I shouldn't have watered that down. Okay. And I'm just, okay, water it down a little bit and splatter it on while it's still wet, and then it'll, because we're going to be adding stars, like doing the exact same thing but with opaque white in a bit. But this, because it's still wet underneath, it kind of blends into the color and creates a very cosmos looking atmosphere with the blended white. I may not have explained myself very well at all there, but I hope that you kind of got my message. It's kind of like in space movies where they zoom out and all you see is these like phew laser beams across the screen. That's kind of the impression that I'm going for. But anyway, let's let that dry. So when this is totally dry, we can take our white watercolor, or you can use white acrylic paint if yours is not opaque enough. And we're doing the exact same thing that we did just before we let this dry, in that we are picking up that on our paintbrush, tapping it against another brush onto our painting to create infinite stars in our space, in our galaxy, in our cosmos. And you can go crazy with this, like as many as you want. I'm just gonna keep going. And the more water that you have on your paintbrush, the bigger the stars will come off, will appear. Okay, I don't want to overdo it. I may have overdone it a little bit over here, but that's okay. I'm not gonna adjust it now. There's too many massive stars, which if they're still wet, you could technically do what I'm doing. Just be careful that you don't like wet it and then create like a cauliflower effect. Just going to do a few more to replace what I have just done with smaller ones. Okay. So because those are so small, I'm not even going to bother waiting for them to dry. We can just jump right into the next part. So we're going to be creating a silhouette shadow, I guess. I'm going to use, yeah, I'll just use my size 14, but you can use a smaller brush if you're more comfortable or you have more control that way. That's totally fine. So I'm taking black and you want to go in the middle or just below the middle. That's where your horizon line is going to be. And I've got a little too much water on my brush, so just be careful of that. Try to draw or paint a straight line across your page to create that horizon. Like so. And somewhere around here, it's going to separate. So we're going to have a little shadow coming off. like this. And this is just so we can separate the horizon from the reflection of the horizon. So I hope that makes sense. And I mean, you're welcome to make your horizon look however you want it to look. So it can just be a smooth line, or you can add trees, whatever kind of trees you want, whether they're the deciduous kind or pines, just to add some complexity to this painting, because paintings like this where it's just a gradient and then like a silhouette foreground, they're usually a little bit more simple, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just going ahead and adding, you can interpret these to be whatever the heck you want. I'm gonna close up a bit so you can see, but I'm using my quadruple zero to create these like sharp grass-like strands coming from the horizon, so you can interpret that as like pine trees or just, I don't know, whatever you want. It looks nice in my opinion. And in the reference photo, there's a deciduous tree over here. And you can experiment, like go crazy here, do whatever you want. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing, as I say in every single tutorial. I'm also adding some texture. I'm kind of angling my brush sideways and just kind of letting it do its thing. And then you can, of course, have the reflection doing something similar. You can smooth it out, like whatever works for you. Honestly, guys, I'm kind of debating pausing this tutorial. I mean, you won't notice, but it's 4 minutes to 10, and they're supposed to have fireworks. I want to go look at them. It kind of sounds like they're already going off. So I'm like, is there even a point? Yeah, I think they're already going off. It's all because of this darn power outage. It ruined my plans for the evening. I would have been way farther along in my tutorials if it wasn't for the power outage. So So I'm not even going to bother having a gap there. And it looks like somewhere around here, it starts to come back around. Like this. Oops, you probably didn't see half of that. And I'm kind of tempted to have some rocks coming off of this. I mean, there's like these grassy strands over here, like really long, coming like this. But I don't really like that. I would not have added that in hindsight, but as I continue doing it, I'm doing it because I'm trying to fix it, but I'm not going to continue that. Okay, so I'm tempted to add some rocks because I love rocks and paintings like this. They always look super nice in water reflections. So although I don't know how they would look as silhouettes. So maybe not, maybe I won't do that. I think we're gonna add the boat. So, okay. I'm gonna take white watercolor here. I kind of have one attempt at this. So it kind of looks like oh, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to add this boat. Okay, so I'm taking white. I just penciled out an oval that I am now going to be painting over with white watercolor. I'm trying to do this quickly because I realized I was looking at the wrong time and I actually have 10 minutes until these fireworks start. So if I miss these fireworks, it's because of you guys, and you better appreciate it. Oh, I hear them. I don't know, maybe that's not the ones from the town, like, because they would be early. Okay, update. I did go to the fireworks, but I think that was a bad call. Not because the fireworks weren't nice, but because they had us park in a field and our car is not equipped for a field, and now there's something hanging loose at the bottom of our car, which is really frustrating because that did not have to happen. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't decide to go see the fireworks. So I'm a bit frustrated at that. Anyway, I've taken like a nude color here. And it's more of a yellow. Rather than nude. Or beige. It's more beige, but I don't really have beige. And I'm stressed out that there's something hanging at the bottom of our car. It's frustrating when you know, you weren't intending on doing something and then you go and do it and then something like this happens. It's different from if you were like already driving on the road and then something like this happened. Like, you know what I mean? It kind of feels like this didn't have to happen. I hope it's an easy repair, but it did not sound very good when it happened. Like, it sounded like something significant broke off. And then when we looked, sure enough, something is like a huge piece of metal is hanging. Now I'm itchy because there were a lot of mosquitoes. I'm just adding a bit of brown or black or whatnot to the bottom to add some shadow work here. To make it a little more realistic looking. Okay. Sorry that I'm not giving as many verbal instructions. I'm just distraught over our car. Okay, I am going to now switch to my quadruple zero and we are going to outline the rim of this canoe. There's a proper name for this, but I currently can't remember it. Also, one of our chickens laid a very, there's something wrong because she laid a yolk and a tiny little egg. And I'm just confused how that could have happened. Like, is this what having children is like? Problem after problem? I sure hope not. Because it stresses me out. So yeah, I'm outlining the boat there, or the inside part of the boat. And I also want to add a shadow just below here. And this shadow is going to be bluish black. And it'll come here somewhere and go down. And I want to kind of take out the stars in the shadowed area. Maybe make it a little bit darker. Like that. And then the inside, of course, cannot remain that color. So I am just going to grab white, because it seems to be like a lighter blue. So if I just paint in white, then the blue from the water should kind of blend with it a little bit and create the color that we need. So that looks nice. And again, we want to add some darker features here to create a shadow inside the boat. Like that. And we should add some seats as well, but I think this needs to dry before we do that. Because the seats will come like, oh, maybe not, like this. And like that. And again, we want to add a little bit of shading just underneath. And we basically got our boat there. That actually turned out so much better than I thought it was going to, because I was just gonna freehand, like this is free-handed, so I'm pretty surprised at the outcome there. I am gonna just touch up this bottom once it dries, but you guys don't need to see that. So you're welcome to peel off that tape once you are finito. And it should reveal a really nice painting. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, hit like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will be sure to see you in the next tutorial.